Tomorrow, the council will be taking up the bicycle master plan, which is a very exciting and ambitious project. It seeks to make the county a world-class biking destination, world-class biking community, and focuses on creating what we call low-stress bicycle connections and bicycle routes throughout the county. In a lot of places, that's created by building what we call protected bike lanes. These are separated facilities where cars, pedestrians, and bikes don't mix. And in other places, it's creating a breezeway network that is on street, and it connects major activity centers. The goal of the plan is to get ultimately up to 8% of county residents commuting by bicycle, which I think can be attainable if we build this infrastructure. We know it's expensive. It's an ambitious vision for the future of the county. It's going to take a long time to get there, and a lot of the statistics are, designed for a 25-year implementation, which is probably realistic, but we got to get started. So the council will be taking up the Bikeways plan tomorrow. We'll have a work session on it, and then we will, I think, vote on it subsequent to that. But it is a terrific plan. I'm really enthusiastic about the recommendations from the planning board. I think the committee made some good adjustments to it in terms of some of the language around timing. And this county was built really around the automobile, and we've been going through a process of changing that so that all modes of transportation have a place and are respected and will seem and feel safe to those who choose them. And we have a long ways to go. We know we're just at the beginning of making the kind of changes that we need for biking infrastructure. We have great progress. You can see it in Silver Spring. It's going to be coming soon to Bethesda. You can see it in White Flint. There's a lot of really new, exciting bike facilities. We have a lot of progress to make on pedestrian issues as well. I know that's been in the news a lot, and it's been on all of our minds. We've had 11 pedestrian fatalities this year, 9 of them on state highways. And we need to make safety the priority when it comes to transportation. And unfortunately, that's just not where we are today, and it's not where we have been. We tend to prioritize the efficiency of the trip, the speed of the trip, rather than the safety of everybody who uses the transportation network, whether they're a walker or a biker or a driver. And as a result, we end up with a lot of fatalities. So the council will be meeting with the state soon. We had the road show you may have seen or been at last week, and we will be meeting with State Highways on November 13th here at the council to talk about Vision Zero and pedestrian safety. But we've got a long way to go to make our roads safe. The Bikeways master plan, the bicycle master plan, is part of that. And when you rebuild roads to be safe for people who bike, you're also able to make changes that are safer for people who walk. And you can see that in Silver Spring right now. At every intersection on every road where you have that bikeway, that separated bikeway, you now have safe crossings, you have slower speeds, you have drivers, pedestrians, and bikers all aware of what they're doing. And I think the result is a significant improvement. So that's the future, but we've got a long way to go to bring that to the whole county. Those are my prepared comments. I'd be delighted to take up any questions you may have.
Any amendments for the telecom towers?
I haven't seen any yet. Good question. If there are any, they need to be presented ASAP so that they can be in the packet that will go out on Thursday, because we'll be taking it up not this week, but next week. And so that memorandum will go up on Thursday and Friday. Thank you, Glenn. Friday. And we would like to have any council member who has an amendment to have it ready by then.
So the first time they're going to be presented publicly is going to be Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Well, they should be presented publicly in the memo that goes up on Friday.
But the first time they'll be discussed with the full council in public will be that Tuesday.
Correct, yeah. Well, actually, we talked about everything at our last council session, and I'm not sure that there are any amendments coming that are different from what we discussed last time, but we'll see, obviously. The goal last week was for us to talk about everything, and as someone said, show your cards now. If there's an issue you have, if there's a change you want to make, let's talk about it now so that we can be expeditious at the council. Hopefully, that's what will happen.
Are you pretty confident that you're going to have enough votes to get something through on that day?
I think so, yeah. I think council members see that, that we need to move forward with this zoning change, that, our best argument in court, our best argument in the legislature is to resolve our own zoning code, and if we want to protect our communities, if we want to have a say over what the setbacks are from homes, then the best way to do that is to have our own zoning code establish those setbacks. If the FCC is the entity that sets the setbacks, or if the state legislature is the entity that sets the setbacks, they're going to be much, they're going to be further towards what the industry wants than what we've recommended.
Close by the intersection where the students were hit last week, there's some signs out there that are asking residents for any recommendations on how to fix that intersection. Are those something that the county established, like a program to get input from residents, or?
I'm not familiar with those signs. That's it's possible some of our like our Vision Zero committee could have been out there to engage people there. I'm not sure. That's great. I'd like to know more about it.
It was actually there the day of. Like, it wasn't after the fact. They were there, and they're like, they were.
I see. They were already there, you
yeah,
think?
They were already there. So I was wondering if maybe there's something.
Yeah, I'd be happy to look into that further. Yeah, that's a very treacherous stretch of Georgia Avenue. I mean, up there you have speed limits of 45 miles an hour. What kind of expectation does that set for people who drive, that they can go 45 miles an hour on Georgia Avenue? That actually affects your speeds all the way up and down the arterial, I would argue. We've got to reduce speeds. We've got to prioritize safety. And when we prioritize safety, we'll be able to reduce the number of crashes. Doug?
So what specifically can the county do on that stretch? Georgia Avenue is a state road, correct? So what pressure can you bear on the state to lower the speed limit?
Well, I think a lot, actually. I think that if we make specific requests to the state, I think they'll consider them. And if those requests are smart, I think they will implement them. We want to engage them and get their best thinking as well. And I think our job is to really express that we want safety to be a higher priority than it is today. And, there's a lot of, historically, there's a push and pull with the state. There's no question. But I think when the county is really clear about what it wants, I think the state works with us. That's been my experience.
On the ballot on November 6th, there's a question concerning the number of confidential aides council members can have. I've seen almost no coverage on this, and I was curious if you want to talk about it.
Well, this is a proposal that it doesn't necessarily change the number of confidential aides. I think most council members would tell you one is pretty satisfactory, but it does allow council members to hire staff who are not in the merit system, so that their staff would be more subject to, would not be in the merit system. So that's the impetus of that proposal.
So they would be hired at the pleasure of?
Correct.
So you could let them go as you see fit?
Correct, which, is not a huge change from where we are today. Most council members' staff are renewed annually. So it would be an incremental change from what we have now.
Where would the money come from that if they were to, say, increase staff that people can have?
I don't think it's proposing to increase the number of staff. I think this is proposing to phase in the hiring status, so that you would replace your, over time, a council member could replace their existing classifications with these classifications, but it's not doesn't affect the overall budget.
What sparked the change, or the request for the change?
I think council members just wanting to be able to hire and fire more expeditiously.
Why would you want to do that? I guess.
Why? Why would you want to be expeditious with your staff, so that you can help people with stuff and get your job done, you know? You have to, it's a challenging job, and I think council members certainly feel like they need to be very nimble in their staff, and they want to be able to make the hiring decisions in a timely manner. So the merit system has a lot of protections built into it, and it's an excellent system. I think the question will be, should it be extended? Does it really need to be extended to council members' offices or not?
So would there be any merit system people in a council member's office?
Well, I'd have to direct you to the council staff for exactly how it would be implemented. I think there's a whole lot of questions there, actually, that would have to be worked out. It's possible that a council member could pick one position, or they could pick all the positions, or they could pick no position. I don't know that there's any obligation on a council member to, if the ballot measure were to pass, I'm not sure there's any obligation on a council member to have people hired into that system. So there's also some challenging issues in terms of HR procedures that would have to be figured out. So I would just say, if this amendment passes, it's the beginning of a process of figuring out how and if, to what extent it's feasible.
Anyone else?
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yes.
I'm from the Advocate, the student newspaper at Montgomery College. I wanted to know, are there any specific, priority locations in the county to address pedestrian safety, specific roads or intersections, particularly if they're around the Rockville area?
Yeah, it's nice to see you again. I think I met you last week. Glad you're here.
Can you name
Yeah.
any specific roads?
Yeah, absolutely. We are presently working on a letter to the state that will be asking for them to focus on Georgia Avenue, especially the northern half of Georgia Avenue, or the northern segment of Georgia Avenue. The county does have identified about 15 what we call high incidence areas, and these are places in the county that have had a pattern of conflicts between drivers and pedestrians and crashes and safety issues. I think where we focus our energy in the future is still very much up in the air. And our Vision Zero committee is urging us to focus on Veers Mill and Georgia Avenue, those two corridors, and I think that makes a lot of sense.